with Saikat. Here we are again, one more day, one more time, and one more emotional connect. Not just a show, but it's a show where you connect with me in every aspect, where we dissect all the important narratives, but also the narratives which are important for the policies, for experts or non experts. Today, we are doing something different, you know, what's slightly different from most of the conversation we have. Most conversation about energy or geopolitics happens between experts, policymakers, analysts, negotiators, and industry leaders. But the truth is, global energy narrative is not shaped only by experts. It is shaped by millions of people who are watching events unfold through news headlines, social media, and everyday economics impact. And often, those impact perspectives are powerful but also incomplete. So when conflicts happen around the energy producing regions, right now we are also seeing what is going on in Syria. It's incredibly complex to unfold. The fact mixed with opinions, miscommunication, discommunication, analysis mixed with speculation, and sometimes misinformation spreads faster than understanding. So today we want to explore something important. How do people who are not energy experts interpret global energy conflicts and policy communications? What narratives are forming, where the knowledge gaps are, how we can create better evidence based conversation, and about energy geopolitics as well. Not just from the top, but bringing everything from the ground. Because in this digital era, information spreads incredibly faster. So, for this, I really want to welcome my dear friend Asgar. Hi, Asgar.
Hi, good to meet you again.
Good to meet you again. It's always a pleasure. For just a context, me and Asgar are connected since I think more than 5 years now.
I think so, yeah.
We yeah, before the COVID, we started a small venture of helping most of the startup communities by giving some kind of information mentorship. We did few videos as well together, how to
Mhm.
break those pitch deck into a proper communication so that the VCs, the angel investors, will understand with them. And thanks a lot for the video as well. It's going incredibly at that time, right? So Asgar, for our viewers and all of the people who are really interested to know about you, can you
Mhm.
introduce yourself?
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, so my own background is actually from chemical engineering. So I worked a few years as an engineer in the actual oil and gas business. And then I actually turned into a different business working with ship paint, which also impacts energy efficiency because believe it or not, there are millions of ships sailing around the world. And the impact they have also contributes to how much CO2 and other things happen. But through those years, my passion changed slightly, and I discovered what I really like is bringing technical people who have a lot of knowledge who really can impact the world and help them with their message. So, how can you make those ideas land? Because, as you know, and most of you that are probably listening, having expertise, knowledge is great. It's a start, but after that, it's how good are you at communicating? How good are you negotiating? And that's what I do today.
Thanks, Asgar. The most crucial part that you said, how you communicate, correct? Because most of the time, when we are in UN level or non-UN level audience, and the most audience who are there are in the grassroots, who are directly impacted by any decision has been made. When they try to communicate with the policymaker, there's always a gap of communication. What exactly they need,
Yeah.
how to connect with them, just not emotionally but also in terms of feelings, what they feel in the ground, where every day they're facing some kind of situation. Right now 1.18 billion people are out of clean cooking. So imagine the indoor pollution that they face all the time. 4 million premature death every year is huge. And just because they cannot express the feeling to the policymaker, that is the situation that happens, right? So right now, I think you are the best guest of ours to make us understand how we should narrate the communication to them. Because in the digital era right now, you can see the AIs and information spread incredibly fast.
Yeah.
But not all information spreads equally responsibly, right?
Oh,
Energy discussions online can sometimes fall into conspiracy narratives, conspiracy narratives, oversimplified geopolitical expansions, or selective interpretations of data. This is why evidence-based advocacy or open discussion spaces are really important. So, what do you think? Why, according to your experience,
mm.
Asgar, how you feel a communication should start? Either it's a policy, either it's a normal clause or contract, or a non-technical as well. How a communication should start from one person to other person to make them understand that what we are feeling.
Yeah. So everything starts with identifying how do you actually help the other person. So let's say you're working with policies, something incredibly complex. Behind those policies, there's a person. And if you want to communicate something to them, you have to figure out how do I help that person? Make that person be seen in a better light, improve their situation. Sure, that policymaker is probably there to make the world better, but they're also a human being thinking about themselves. So if you propose something, it has to solve a problem for them. Maybe that is to increase their status, increase their network, something. That's the starting point, the unique value for the individual person. That's where you start.
And as you said, unique value, right, as an
Yes.
individual person. So when
Yeah,
we put forward a value, we sometimes sway from our emotions, right? Like
sure,
what emotion we should have. Right now I'm in a formal manner, we should talk with them formally, but
sure.
the emotions hits back whatever we have facing. And those criticisms, while we speak about any policies, whatever we need to the policymakers,
Yeah,
those criticisms becomes a negative impact. That okay, we want this, we want that, we don't have solution. But when
yeah,
we want to give the problem of us, we also have to understand that how to make those communication very reliable to those policymakers,
yeah,
how to manage our communication very smooth and skillful, and not to over let go our emotion and bring the negativity into the communication. What do you think? How to
yeah.
make ourselves
Yeah, yeah, it's a huge topic, how to control your emotions, but actually also helping the other ones with their emotions. Because when you're in a talk, it's not just your own emotions; it's also the other ones.
Mhm.
So where you start, I would say, is before you go into a talk or it's a negotiation, whatever, you have to mentally prepare. And there are numerous ways to do that. You can run through the scenario in your own head multiple times and also get clear on, okay, what's the worst scenario? So you're prepared for that. So there's a lot of work you can do there to do that. And then I think it is when you're in the conversation, meet them
Mhm.
where they're at. So if they get frustrated, you can say, I feel you get, did I make you frustrated? Or, I feel this is a difficult point. If I did anything, let's regroup and go back. You can talk about feelings in a professional way without obviously talking down to the person. So those would be a couple of tips I would give.
No, that's fabulous. Just to make everyone know, so we are live in several platforms, 6 to 7
Hmm.
platforms, and we have right now we have more than 600 plus viewers, which we are seeing. To all of them, Asgar is a very fantastic trainer for TEDx speakers as well. And when we talk about TEDx speakers, those speech that we see in the TEDx platform
Hmm.
transforms life,
Yeah,
right? And when we talk about transforms life, because the energy transition is not only technological transformation, it's also a knowledge transformation, right?
sure. Yeah,
So when we want to transform a knowledge, I don't want the knowledge should be disseminated or somewhere it should not lose its essence, or
yeah,
it doesn't make it doesn't should make the Chinese whisper that we always know. Like, someone told anything, and after the long go is distorted, and then when it reached to the table, it distorted. Like, it literally totally doesn't make any sense what exactly we told. So
yeah,
how to make sure in a very detailed manner the knowledge transfer should always keep its essence, and
Hmm.
always make sense whenever it been transferred.
Yeah. So the starting point, whenever we transfer something very complex, is to start with what is the current knowledge of that person. Because how we learn, how we grow is we build onto things. So if your audience has very little knowledge, you have to figure,
Hmm.
okay, how can I build on that? If they're a little bit further, you can build at a different level.
Hmm.
So one of the things you can do if people don't have a lot of knowledge is to take an everyday situation and make it a metaphor or an analogy to make that understandable. I would say that's the starting point.
Amazing. Just because whenever we do any policy recommendations,
Yeah.
as a part of energy working group of UNFCCC's youth constituency, we sometimes feel very difficult to make a unique policy recommendations or
Yeah.
documentations or position paper where
Yeah.
everyone should understand,
Yeah.
because it's not just about the thinking process, but it's not
Mm.
about just the knowledge process. It's also about how they look into it, like imaginations. Whenever they
Hmm.
read something,
Yeah.
okay, it should click. Okay, yeah, this is what we want. But
Hmm.
in different scenarios, the region is different. We have global south, global north, developed
Yes.
countries, developing countries.
Yeah.
Way of educating people is different. But where the common things affects, the common thing is we all need energy access. We
Sure.
all need energy security, right?
Hmm.
And if we want to build a resilient and equitable energy systems, public understanding matters a lot, right?
Hmm.
Because energy decisions affect our
Sure.
electricity bills, fuel prices, jobs, industrial competitiveness, climate actions. Which means public must not observe the transition; they must understand it, right? So that
Yeah.
means we require to bridge the knowledge gap between the expert and everyday perspective.
Yes.
So, what do you think? What should be the main target of ours to bang on and to be in the middle, not to be too much of technicalities, not to be too much of like a
Yeah.
layman, but also to bridge the gap between the expert knowledge and everyday perspective.
Yeah.
How to proceed? How to
Yeah.
proceed?
So everything starts with the why. Like, why is this important? And you just touched upon it because energy isn't just how much you pay for electricity. Now, that's
Hmm.
what most people think. But if you imagine, hey, this is also security,
Hmm.
this is safety for us. And if we rely on just one partner, we are vulnerable. So having multiple sources is going to equip us with bigger
Correct.
safety. It means you might end up paying a little bit more, but it's kind of like having an insurance. If you
Mm.
buy a house, you hope you're never going to use it, but if you don't,
Impressive.
you
Yes.
know, it's like you pay yourself insurance,
Hmm.
and that's so you can kind of find something they understand and they can see the value. Hey, that makes sense. I pay a little bit more, but we have safety. So dive into the why is the best one, and if you can find like three really good reasons
Hmm.
that they can easily understand, you're so far ahead of everybody else.
And how to find the exact reason? Because sometimes we, right now, this is the era of abundance, right?
Yes.
So
So
abundance means information is everywhere. But the fact check is the information is not right everywhere.
no.
And
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what do? There were multiple ways to find out. Most people just stay on their computer, right? Or they just imagine. The best way is to get out there and ask people,
Hmm.
okay, what's important in your life? What what, how do you feel safe? What goes on in your life? So asking people what is near to them, dear to them, that's where you should start. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. Also in the corporate world or boardrooms, they
Hmm.
say, oh, I want to share something. But they never spend the time asking the people what is relevant, what is important to you. They just come with an idea. But it starts with interviewing, getting out on the streets, asking them, doing polls, doing surveys, but feeling them, observing them. That's where you start.
Quite interesting, because right now I think we are going to your domain, like totally your domain.
Mm,
Most of us, when we go to really high level plenaries or anywhere, we have to give speech. Most of the time, we have to give some kind of narratives or interventions that, okay, we
mm,
want this, we want that, whatever we going on, we put forward a proper picture, like setup,
sure.
the context, and then we move ahead with, okay, this is not going on. sometimes is going too right, too left, but we should we always try to keep it like straightforward, always
Mhm.
keeping the decorum of the room, and to understand what exactly going on inside, uh, sway from the discussion whatever going on. So for a person who are going to those global level as a
Mm.
speaker or as a
Yes.
intervention person. So what you give a proper structure, like a matrix or structure they should follow, like how to start, how
Mm.
to build catch their attention, because those
Sure.
people are always been talking and they're hearing a lot of things, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
how, yeah, so how to make yourself separate but also make yourself very loudly understandable and
Yeah.
emotionally connect with them? How to start, like what paragraph or what process we should follow?
Yeah. So how it starts is you have to identify a problem. So you have to tell your audience in a nice way, you are wrong. So let's say it's I'm not an expert on this, but let's say you're taking the war with
Mhm,
the U.S. and Syria. Okay, there is a problem. So you're talking about nuclear arms. That's
mhm,
kind of the discussion. But you say everybody thinks it's about nuclear arms. You say this is really not the case. There is something below that that we have to fix before that, and then you go into what's really the problem. And I say, oh, really? We got to fix something before that, and like, oh, I better listen up to that because you go a layer deeper. And like, I didn't think about that. So the deeper you can go in a layer and in a nice way tell people you are wrong, then you will get their
mm,
attention. And of course, they'll be like, okay, what's the solution? I gotta know,
mm,
right? And
mm,
then you
mm,
come with your framework. But if you just shove down a solution, it's kind of like, oh, this is would be really good for you. It's like at this magazine or whatever. Or it
mhm,
could be like, did you know that most people read these magazines, but they really
mhm,
never really go undercover to what's
mhm,
really going on, the underlying?
mhm,
And then it's a little bit deeper. So I'd say that go as far as you can in the problem and
mhm.
tell people they're wrong in a nice way.
That's true, because we came across this kind of situation where we have the solution, but whenever we utter the solution or we share it, it
Mm.
doesn't make too much of impact. But when we tell them what is the deeper problem, and then we say, okay, yeah, when we have the solution, why it has not been implemented till now, sometimes we get tractions on that. So yes,
Mm.
it is very true on that. But the framework that you have given, saying in a good gesture that okay, like I'm not pointing out that you are wrong, like totally wrong, but I'm saying the process that you are saying right now and whatever the phenomena is going on, it's wrong. So we have to fix it together. It's not
Yes.
just you. Yeah. So that's really interesting. Now,
Yeah.
also Asgar, from very personal viewpoint, sometimes whenever we are in a closed room in a discussion with different politicians or different MPs, maybe sometimes negotiators, whatever you have created a narrative or set at the narratives prior going inside the room
Mhm.
doesn't work, because of course like the discussion goes in different direction, right?
Yeah.
But you have set a tune, you have your
Sure.
own pointers, your data,
Yeah.
you have researched a lot,
Mhm.
entire team worked on it. But either
Yeah.
way you have to tell them, because the document whatever you say, it goes as a representation of the entire organization, right?
Yeah.
So it makes very very sensible if you change anything during the intervention or your speech. But of course
Yes.
whatever you are giving the speech, it will not make sense, as you saw that suddenly the room's entire priority changed. When you read the room right now, you have to either way you have to deliver it. But how to make sure that you deliver it, and also to make sure that you are inside the room and you read the room and they should understand, okay, whatever the discussion is he's saying, it's also connecting with exactly why we are, but also it's connecting what we are saying right now. They should take us seriously.
Yeah. So, I mean, sharing a story is a one way because what is really the key of a story? That is solving a relevant problem that is important and it has some sort of goal. So you have
Mhm,
to kind of share that process.
mhm,
And then as you say, okay, if things are not going your way, maybe after the talk, I would
mhm,
say the one in control, is the one asking the question. So that if they say, "Oh, do you mind if I just give you one or two questions to this, and then you can redirect it? What's this going to cost X, Y,
Hmm.
Z?" Or so yeah, ask questions, you get back in
Correct.
control.
Correct.
But building a narrative around a story,
Hmm.
which is basically solving a problem, that's the key.
So start with the story, interact with the person with anything, and then of
Yeah.
course I know that what would be the answer. Like we already know what the answer gonna be. Either way, that answer will connect with our narratives and our preparation, and then of course we will start our demands and put forward whatever we have.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So that's essentially a talk. You have to identify what is my needs and what's the other person's need. And then
Hmm.
you build a story around, oh, those needs can be met somehow. They're probably never going to be 100% overlapping, but you
Yeah.
build that story. So like, wow, I can see we have something together. It could be useful to join forces. So
Oh my
that's a
god.
story.
It's solved a lot of problem basically. Whatever you the process, the framework that you gave us, it solved a
Yeah.
lot of problem. Yeah, just because sometimes we face very difficult to make start our interventions or start our speech whatsoever, just because we know that okay, it already has been gone. But
Mhm.
yes, definitely, like why not to start with the story and then connect it. Either way they will connect it, because of course we are in the same space, we're in the same segments. Either
Yes.
way we'll find a thread to connect it and we will start. This is how they will also take it very seriously. Thanks a lot for
Yeah.
giving a fantastic viewpoint to the entire global youth in that aspect.
Yeah.
So,
I
as
agree.
a person that you always work in communication and you've been
Mhm.
working with many high level communicators, um, as also you know me, you know a lot of organizations who are working in this policy levels.
Mhm.
But the situation which is going on globally, as
Mhm.
geopolitics and everything, as a person who is non-expert, right,
Mhm.
in energies or whatsoever, what's your viewpoint? What it is lagging that you think it should be covered in terms of communications and in terms of narratives?
What I think is lacking most is probably that the facts come out. I
Mm-hmm.
think there are too many narrow interests
Mm-hmm.
amongst you can say, the people in power,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very good at persuading, influencing, and often people we don't dig deep enough and understand, because we have to understand why are these things happening. They're not always to our benefit.
Mm.
Yeah, sometimes, I'm not saying this is the case
Mm-hmm.
at all, but it could be divert attention from things that are going on that are not that good for the current governments.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's obviously sad if that's the case, right?
Yeah, that's true. Like the fact check is important right now as abundance AIs and everywhere.
So true.
Communication changes. True.
Yeah. So getting into the facts, and it's a difficult job. Who to
Mm-hmm.
trust? Everybody says I've got the facts, but doing a little bit of research can get you a long way.
And I'll come to you in a very basic question, but which is
Hmm.
very important, fundamental for any communicator. How to be a better communicator?
Well, I think it all starts with what's your own goal, and you have to get into the mind of the other person. What's their goal? And then you have to develop, how can I give them that? Plus, you also get what you want yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just as an exchange. Whenever you do business with people, if they pay you, that's
Mm-hmm.
your interest. But
Mm-hmm.
back to them, you give them an incredible service. And of
True.
course, you kind of have to say, okay, we're swapping something, but what I give you for the money you pay is probably 10 times more. People aren't always, cannot always see that, but that's essentially the job we have as communicators, to say, I'm giving you more value than you're
Mm-hmm.
giving me.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the starting point. Always the people you talk to. And then there are so many things you, of course, can do to make them see that.
Uh, for few examples,
For
if you
instance,
can provide.
one way I like to start my sales calls with people is just, a little title, and then I mention the consequences. So one could be ineffective communication.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how many deals are you losing? How many projects are stalling a little bit? How much is lost in inefficiency from this? how many people might even change job because your leaders currently are not optimal at
Hmm.
communicating. And they're like, whoa, yeah, if somebody leaves us, that's maybe 100,000 euros. Well, that's a lot, right? Maybe
Uh,
more if it's higher up in the system. So I dive into really the consequences because I want to dive into the pain immediately. People buy way
exactly.
more into pain than gain. Of course, there's got to be a gain down the road, but the biggest two drivers is current pain right now
Hmm.
and then future pain.
Ah, okay.
So if you say, "Oh, wait, what's your pain right now?" I'm good. Yeah, but
Hmm.
check it. If you don't start exercising in 5 years, it's game over. Like I better start now. But if your foot hurts right now, that's a pain. You're probably going to go to the doctor pretty quickly. But you say, "Oh, if you work hard for 30 years, you're going to be benefited by this and this." Okay, you might do
Hmm.
it, but I'm going to go out with the kids and enjoy myself today. Start sometime next week, next month. So pain,
Yeah, yeah,
current
yeah.
and future pain. That's where I start.
That's very interesting. Like,
Mhm.
get to the pain point, understand that, okay, there is your profit, it's your benefit, and how you can overcome. It's not about you. It's
Yeah,
about you. Yeah, very important, very important.
yeah,
And
yeah.
all right, so before we close the show,
Mhm.
we are going to have something fun that we always have in my show, which is the quick rapid fire round. I
All
have
right.
my cue cards here, and it's a rapid fire. You have to give the answer within 1 second. I will not ask. I'll not like ask why you answered it. But
Okay,
if one, I'll choose one rapid fire from which would be interesting for us according to your answer, and then we will just have a discussion, like small discussion, fun
cool.
little discussion, like why.
Nice,
But
nice.
the time focus is very important, and the storytelling is very important, right?
Yes.
The idea is simple: how we turn complex policy into something people centric and actually understand and care
Mhm.
about,
Yeah.
right? So, ready?
Yes.
Perfect. So, one word that every policy communicator should remember.
Everyday situations.
Policy communication should start with
The
data.
why.
Uh-huh. And okay, you already told because the story. Yes.
Mhm.
So the biggest mistake expert make when speaking to the public.
Themselves, speaking about themselves.
What connects people more, facts or feelings?
Feelings, big time.
When explaining climate or energy policies, what matters more, numbers or real life explanations?
Real life explanations.
All good communicators should speak like a professor, a communicator, a storyteller, or an expert.
Storyteller.
One technique to make complex policy understandable in 60 seconds.
Use analogies.
If you had to explain energy transition to a 12 years old,
Mhm.
what would be your opening sentence?
Do you know a warm oven
Mhm.
and do you know warm water? And then I would start from there.
Ah, that's
Do you know
very
how you can put
interesting.
your hand in a warm oven?
Yeah. Hmm.
But you can't, and that's 200 degrees
Yes.
maybe, but you
Hmm.
can't put your hand in 100 degrees warm water. Why is that? Because
Very
they
interesting.
transfer the energy differently.
Yeah, it also increases the level of understanding in
Yes.
terms of day to day life. Very,
Yes.
very crucial. Amazing.
Mhm.
Thanks a lot. And then one communication skill every policymaker should learn.
Be passionate, love your topic, and your body will do what it needs to do.
So, coming to that, people care about policy when dash.
When they're distracted in the toilet on Facebook.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I'll give it to that. And one bonus question for you, as you are really, really fast enough. So, a little challenge: explain energy transition in one sentence that your grandmother would understand.
The movement of the speed of
Hmm.
molecules, how fast they move.
Hmm. And when you are speaking to your grandmother about a transition that okay, we right now we are in oil and gas phase and we are
Mm.
moving to renewables.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Um, how we could, so we're going from the Stone Age
Mm-hmm.
to the Iron Age
Uh-huh.
in terms of energy transfer.
Ah, very interesting. Yeah, from the stone to the iron. Yeah, it's
I
it's
think
it's
so, yeah.
created entire narrative. Yes, true. Amazing, amazing, Askar. As always, you are very spontaneous and right on the topic. Thanks a
Thanks
lot
for
for that.
coming.
Really. So that was fantastic, and it was an honor to have you in our show. I hope you liked the format. I hope you liked the show as well, the on entire discussion. It was for everyone, not just for the experts, not for the policymakers or the negotiators or the communicators. It was for the common people, for the stakeholders. They should understand how to communicate their problem to the big people so that they can take it with them and bring it on the table. What do you think about it?
I think it was amazing. Really important topic you bring forward. And thanks for
Thanks
being
a
on the
lot.
show, man. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate as well as being. We know that it's Saturday, and of course, like all everyone is busy in every way. In a short notice, you came. The friendship always, always, always the best when someone have a communicator or an expert or policymaker whatsoever. This is what we call as an emotional connect. When we connect emotionally, we don't have to explain too much. We know in the thoughts. And
So
thanks a
true.
lot for being a friend for since I think 2020 or 2019.
Yeah, long
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Thanks. I'm also saying thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Esker. And for the viewers, thanks a lot for being with us. Thanks, it was fantastic. Honestly, communications like this, uh, you know, where you know what might be true, which is not true. The most underrated tool, which is in the global policy, is communication, and this is the most important tool as well. So we should understand they cannot support each other, the communication and the policy, if those two doesn't work together, right? So we have to make them work together. um, so right now we will be finishing our session. So this episode we will be having one guest, our special guest Asgar. We will not be having another guest just because as you all know, I've been traveling to London and for one of the biggest event that we are planning in the parliament, which is coming on May. So I just came in, and then of course we have to do the communication. I with Asker because there's always fun to speak with him. So I was very keen to unfold what's there, what we can come up with for the policy people and for the youth especially. I haven't changed yet, so yes, I hope you liked it, and I'll see you soon in the next episode with the next unfold truth about policies, energies, and transition. Till then, until next time. Thank you.